Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Today we're diving into a powerful and rarely discussed truth. Why do women fear emotionally intelligent men? You might think being emotionally intelligent, being calm, kind, self-aware, patient, would make you the ideal man, but the reality is more complex. This isn't about becoming less of a man, it's about becoming more whole. And when a man becomes whole, he becomes unpredictable, untouchable, and yes, a little scary, because you are no longer easy to manipulate. In this video, we'll explore the psychology, the power dynamics, the emotional battlefield, and the stoic strength behind true emotional intelligence. We'll break it down in 4 chapters, each packed with deep wisdom, real-life examples, and emotional truths that will shift the way you see yourself and the way women see you. So before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, share this with a brother who needs it. And drop a comment below when something hits your soul. This is not just content, this is a movement. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The silent threat of self-mastery. There's something deeply unsettling and even intimidating about a man who is deeply grounded in his emotions. Chapter 2. Emotional intelligence exposes emotional immaturity. Most men go through life thinking they need to impress, chase, or convince a woman to love them. But when you develop true emotional intelligence, something unexpected happens. You stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment. And that's when everything changes, because you begin to see clearly, not just her beauty, charm, or personality, but her emotional patterns, her insecurities, her games, her wounds. And this clarity, it's intimidating to anyone who isn't ready to grow. Women are not afraid of kindness. They are not afraid of softness. They are afraid of being seen too clearly. When a man is emotionally intelligent, he doesn't just hear what she says, he feels what she means. He doesn't just fall for her words, and he watches her actions. He doesn't react when she pulls away. He doesn't chase when she gives mixed signals. He doesn't get high from attention, and he doesn't get low from rejection. This kind of awareness makes emotionally immature people deeply uncomfortable, because they can't hide behind the usual masks. They can't pretend, they can't deflect, and suddenly the emotional games lose their power. When a woman is used to having emotional control in relationships, she expects to be able to shake a man when she pulls away, withholds affection, or tests his boundaries. We're not talking about a man who overshares or wears his heart on his sleeve all the time. We're talking about a man who feels everything, but is not ruled by anything. A man who observes, a man who listens, a man who responds, not reacts. Women are often taught, directly or indirectly, that they will have emotional influence over a man, that if they're upset, he should feel unsettled, that if they withhold affection, he should chase, that if they give love, he should melt. But the emotionally intelligent man sees through this. He doesn't play the emotional chess game. He doesn't get lost in storm. He becomes the eye of the storm, and that's what makes him dangerous. In the best way. Imagine 2 men. Now one gets ghosted by a woman he's been talking to for weeks. He spirals, double texts, gets angry, looks for closure, begs for attention, emotional chaos. The other man notices the silence, feels the sting, but stays grounded. He doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, he pauses, reflects, moves on with grace. He doesn't suppress emotion, and he masters it. He knows silence is information. He knows his value isn't defined by her attention. That's the man women fear and secretly admire, because he's not only emotionally intelligent, he's emotionally sovereign. This kind of man doesn't get addicted to drama or validation. He becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, many women see their own emotional immaturity reflected. But when he remains unmoved, composed, and respectful, she's forced to confront herself. She's forced to ask, why am I trying to provoke him? Why do I need this drama? Why am I uncomfortable with his calmness? This is what makes emotionally intelligent men feel dangerous, not because they harm others, but because they hold up a mirror, and that reflection can be uncomfortable. Let's say you're dating someone. She's charming, beautiful, confident. But every time you get close, she creates distance. Every time you open up, she withdraws. And when you ask for honesty, she plays vague. Now, a man without emotional intelligence will start to feel desperate. He'll try harder. He'll overgive. He'll lose himself chasing connection. But you stay still. You don't over-explain. You don't beg. You don't become cold either. You simply observe. You ask with kindness. You notice the pattern. And you respond by creating emotional space. Now she feels unsettled with Dwayne because she realizes her patterns don't control you. She realizes you see the game and you're not playing it. You haven't rejected her. You've simply risen above the level where manipulation works, and in that moment you hold the power, not through control, but through clarity. In Zen teachings, there's a saying, the mirror does not judge the reflection, it simply reflects. Emotionally intelligent men embody this truth. They don't need to fix others. They don't need to condemn others. They simply see people for who they are, clearly, without illusion. And that clarity is often what others fear, because most people aren't ready to be seen without their filters. They've built identities on emotional reactions, control mechanisms, and unhealed wounds. And the emotionally intelligent man, in his peace, presence, and perception, shatters those illusions simply by existing. Here's the paradox. Women say they want a man who communicates, who's vulnerable, who listens. But when they meet one who truly embodies emotional depth, many run. Why? Because emotional intelligence doesn't just invite love, it invites intimacy. And true intimacy means you can't hide. It means your wounds will be seen. It means your patterns will be noticed. It means you'll be called, silently, respectfully, to grow. And not everyone is ready for that. Make no mistake, emotional intelligence doesn't mean being passive or weak or a pushover. In fact, it requires immense strength. It means holding space for another person's emotions without being pulled into their chaos. It means responding with calm when you're being provoked. It means standing firm in your truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. And many people, men and women alike, aren't used to that kind of strength. They're used to emotional fireworks, not emotional maturity. That's why an emotionally intelligent man is not always celebrated, because he's not easy to manipulate, and he won't dance to someone else's emotional music. An emotionally intelligent man may not say much, but his presence speaks volumes. He doesn't argue, but his silence is powerful. He doesn't chase, but his absence is felt. He doesn't control, but his energy demands respect. And in a society built on control, ego, and emotional chaos, this calm, aware, grounded presence is revolutionary. And revolutions always come with fear, especially for those who benefit from the old system. Drop a comment below. I see clearly. I choose calm. Let the tribe know you've stepped into clarity and left chaos behind. Chapter 3. Redefining masculinity. Leadership. Without control, for generations, masculinity was defined by domination, silence, and control. But in the modern world, women aren't looking for a tyrant, and they aren't truly attracted to a passive pleaser either. They are drawn, and often terrified, by a man who leads with emotional strength, a man who doesn't control them but controls himself, a man who isn't rigid but is rooted, a man who doesn't need to be loud to command presence. This is the man with masculine stillness, the one who knows who he is, what he values, and what he will or will not accept. And that is the true essence of leadership, real life. Example, boundaries in action. Let's say a woman tests your limits. She raises her voice. She insults you when she's upset. She disrespects your time or attention. Most men either get loud and aggressive to put her in her place, or stay quiet and take it, hoping things will calm down. But an emotionally intelligent man does neither. He stays calm, he lets her speak, but then he says, not with anger, but with certainty. This energy doesn't work with me. If you need space, take it. But I'm not staying in this environment. And then he leaves. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but because he honors his peace more than he fears her reaction. That's leadership. That's masculine strength. And that's the kind of energy most women don't know how to handle, because it doesn't try to control them. It controls the man himself. In Taoist philosophy, there's a concept called Wu Wei, effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means moving with the flow of life, rooted in internal alignment. An emotionally intelligent man moves with Wu Wei. He doesn't force, he doesn't fight. He acts when it's time and rests when it's wise. He leads not by pressure, but by presence. And in the eyes of many women, this is both deeply attractive and slightly terrifying, because it's a form of power that can't be controlled. You don't need to demand respect. Your energy commands it silently. Emotionally intelligent men don't draw boundaries with rage. They draw them with resolve. I don't raise my voice. If you want to talk, let's talk with respect. I don't tolerate games. If you're unsure, take your time. I'll be doing my own thing. I don't chase, I attract. If you match my energy, let's build. If not, I release you in peace. These are not ultimatums, they are truths. Not to manipulate her, but to protect you. Because a man without boundaries becomes a man without self-respect. And once you lose that, everything falls apart. Women test boundaries, not because they're evil, but because they want to know what's real. An emotionally intelligent man doesn't fold under pressure. He doesn't escalate or collapse. He simply holds the line and lets her decide whether to rise to the standard or walk away. Let's be honest. Many people, and not just women, are used to men being either emotionally unavailable or overly emotional. The emotionally intelligent man is neither. He feels everything, but isn't controlled by anything. He can cry, but won't crumble. He can walk away without bitterness or resentment. He becomes a safe space, not just for others, but for himself. And that level of inner strength, it's not just rare, it's revolutionary, because he leads through presence, not pressure, through respect, not fear, through standards, not ultimatums. That's the kind of masculine leadership the world desperately needs, and it's exactly what many women are deeply drawn to and secretly afraid of, because it reveals where they still need to grow. Imagine being in a relationship where every emotional wave doesn't shake you, where every disagreement doesn't become a war, where love isn't a battlefield, but a place of growth and clarity. That's the relationship emotionally intelligent men create. They don't suppress their masculinity, they refine it. They don't give up control, they give up the need for control. And in doing so, they create something rare. A space where love, truth, and power can all exist without fear. Let's be very clear, emotional intelligence is not about being soft. It's about having both heart and backbone. You can be kind and still have standards. You can be vulnerable and still walk away. You can feel deeply and still lead powerfully. This is not weakness. This is the evolution of strength. And the men who embody this become not just better partners. They become better leaders, fathers, brothers, kings. They become the ones women respect, even if they fear what it reveals in themselves. Drop a comment below. I lead with presence, not pressure. Let the tribe know you walk with strength and heart. Chapter 4. He walks alone, and that's why he's powerful. There comes a point in a man's life when he no longer seeks to be chosen. He chooses himself. He doesn't chase affection. He doesn't beg for love. He doesn't cling to people who don't match his energy. Why? Because he has become the source of the very things he used to look for in others. Peace, confidence, purpose, love. This is the emotionally intelligent man's secret. He doesn't need anyone, and that's exactly why people are drawn to him. Most people fear solitude, But the emotionally intelligent man knows that solitude is not isolation. It is alignment. It's where he sharpens his thoughts, deepens his purpose, and builds the foundation for a life that no one can shake. He doesn't fill his time with distractions, he fills his soul with meaning. And when a woman meets a man like this, she feels it. She realizes he isn't lonely, he's focused, and that focus cannot be bought, manipulated, or seduced. Imagine this. You're in a relationship. She's beautiful, emotionally intense, and magnetic, but inconsistent. Sometimes she's warm, sometimes she's cold. She wants you close, but then pushes you away. A man lacking emotional intelligence will stay, out of fear, attachment, or ego. But you see the inconsistency, you feel the emotional chaos, and instead of fixing it, you say, I care for you, but this isn't aligned with the life I'm building. I need peace more than passion. I'm walking away not because I hate you, but because I love myself. You don't slam the door, you close it with grace. And that is what women fear the most, not the anger of a man, but the calm of a man who knows his worth and won't compromise it. In ancient Asian philosophy, there's a story comparing the oak tree and the bamboo. The oak is strong and rigid, it resists the wind and eventually snaps under pressure. But the bamboo bends, flows, and returns upright. It is both flexible and unbreakable. Emotionally intelligent men are like bamboo. They bend, but they do not break. They adapt, but they do not abandon themselves. They love deeply, but never at the cost of their dignity. This softness with strength is what makes them enduring, wise, and, yes, feared. Because you can't control a man who is at peace with walking alone. One of the greatest shifts in emotional intelligence is this. You stop trying to be impressive and start being authentic. You realize you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to perform. You don't need to entertain someone into staying. You become a lighthouse, still, grounded, shining from your core. And the right woman? She'll find you. Not because you convinced her, but because your energy was undeniable. You're not playing the game, you've outgrown it. An emotionally intelligent man doesn't need a perfect woman, he needs a present one who is self-aware, honest, emotionally available, and aligned with his values. He'd rather be alone in peace than in a relationship full of noise. He doesn't get seduced by surface. He's looking for substance. And here's the truth. Many women don't meet that standard. Not because they're bad people, but because they haven't done the emotional work. And so they walk away, not because the man was wrong for them, but because he required them to rise and they weren't ready yet. The emotionally intelligent man lives by the inner circle principle. His time is valuable. His energy is sacred. His peace is non-negotiable. He doesn't give front row access to people who haven't earned a ticket. And women who are used to emotional availability on demand will fear this because he doesn't overgive, he doesn't over-explain. He protects his kingdom, and entry is earned, not begged for. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. Here's what makes him truly rare. When he does choose a woman, he doesn't choose from emptiness, he chooses from abundance. And when he gives his full presence, his loyalty, his insight, his devotion, not out of fear of losing her, but out of joy for having found a true partner. He leads, loves, and listens. He supports, but never shrinks. He builds, but never begs. And to the right woman, this man is a dream come true. To the wrong woman, he's a mirror, a challenge, and a reminder of the work she still needs to do. And that's why emotionally intelligent men are both desired and feared. Drop a comment below. I am my own source. Let the tribe know you've claimed your power, your peace, and your path.